Getting stronger isn't all about gratifying your ego. It's about just being a more resilient person overall. And you don't particularly have to get stronger by bench pressing like you can see me doing. You don't have to bench 2 plates or 315 or whatever to be stronger. You can get stronger in various other facets of life in other disciplines. But it doesn't take away from the fact that if you want to age well, training for strength in some capacity is going to be your best bet. So the idea that strength training specifically is just for powerlifters, it's somewhat laughable to me because it isn't. Strength training is your insurance policy. For example, when you're cutting, strength retention is a sign that you're actually keeping muscle. And same way when you are bulking or you are trying to put on lean tissue, strength training is also an insurance policy that basically points you in the direction of, okay, I've added a couple more reps, I've added 10 pounds to my lifts. That is a good indication of progress with regards to muscle hypertrophy occurring. And that's because muscle growth itself is very difficult to track, especially once you are past the newbie stages. Once you are intermediate to advanced, it's very difficult to be able to see visible changes with regards to muscle growth happening. And so a good enough indicator of progress with hypertrophy is actually putting on strength and improving your lifts over the course of time within moderate rep ranges. And so strength training should not be something that is considered optional. Strength training is essential. It's essential for your health, for your resilience, for your mindset as a trainee, and even your body composition. All of these metrics I just mentioned, they tend to get better when strength training is the focus. If you are a stronger, more resilient individual, fat loss is easier, muscle gain is easier. You just become somebody that's harder to kill overall. Another very important thing I've noticed about people who train specifically with strength in mind and progression in mind, improving their lifts over time, is that the muscle that they build tends to linger on with them for a long period of time, if not their whole life. People who do a lot of pump work, crazy high rep sets, tend to lose the fluidity in their muscle when they take periods of time when they are not training. Some of them, after about a week of not training, they start to complain about how small they look or how small they feel. And that's because they are training specifically with a sarcoplasmic approach in mind. It's called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, pump work, building the fluid-like substance in your muscle, as compared to myofibrillar hypertrophy, which is basically building actual contractile tissue. Now, I'm not saying that pump work is necessarily bad. Neither am I saying that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy style training doesn't have its place in hypertrophy training in general. What I'm saying is that it shouldn't take up the bulk of your training volume and training time. Compound lifts at low to moderate rep ranges is going to get you stronger and more muscular, especially if you're a natural. I barely ever see advanced natural trainees who are very muscular, who have basically reached the peak of, their natural physique, who are weak in general. They are all usually very, very strong. So now let's talk about practical tips on how to train for strength and actually succeed at it. The very first one is to use compound lift. Get efficient and proficient at them. Bench press, overhead press, barbell squats, vertical pulls like pull-ups or chin-ups, and horizontal pulls like T-bar rows or like barbell rows or pendlay rows. These exercises should assume the bulk of your training. About 70 to 80% of your training should be centered around progressing around these core lifts. And then you can throw in the pump stuff, things like bicep curls, lateral raises, face pulls, rear delt flies, things like that, other isolation exercises to bring up other lagging body parts. Next thing to focus on is your training volume and, most importantly, intensity. When you are training for strength, the amount of volume you're doing and how intense the training is overall will basically determine the amount of training stimulus that you are able to elicit and the adaptations that will proceed afterwards. And for that singular reason, you must make sure to avoid junk volume, because that's just going to contribute to excess fatigue that is unwarranted and won't basically cause any more hypertrophy, any more strength and neural adaptations. Another very important thing to take note of when training for strength is the rest period between your set. If you are resting 30 to 60 seconds between sets and doing 12 to 20 reps sets and all of that. You're basically conditioning your cardiovascular system. Does cardio have benefits with regards to how it could actually enhance your strength training? Yes, but the fact is the benefits of cardio would be better gained by performing cardio specific exercises independently of your strength training sessions. Things like incline walking on the treadmill at a very high incline, or hill walking, or farmer carries, or some sort of heavy carries would much rather condition your cardiovascular system than trying to do high rep bicep curls in the gym as like a means of improving your cardiovascular efficiency. Training for strength also means that you're going to need to fuel your body properly. Nutrition is going to be very important and play a very salient part in your ability to perform. And so your carbohydrates should be at a moderate to high level. Protein must be high to also foster, muscle repair after the breakdown, and fats for hormonal balance. I'm not going to go too in-depth into that because that's a separate video on its own. If you guys want me to make a video on nutrition for training specifically for strength, let me know in the comment section below. And so to quickly recap, the first point was to focus primarily on compound lifts, and then the minority of your training volume should be allocated to isolations. The next thing is also to chase effort, chase intensity, and modulate your training volume such that you're able to recover from your sessions. The next one is to also focus on performance over chasing the pump. Separate your cardiovascular sessions from your actual strength training sessions, and keep a logbook to ensure that you're progressing week by week. That's all I have for today, guys. Let me know if this video is helpful. Like, comment, subscribe. See you.